So for those that have been following me on any form of social media, I have been alluding to this for probably 3 to 4 weeks, give or take. So for those that follow me, this is no big surprise. For those of y'all that don't and just passively watch the project, well, you're in for an earful tonight. Um, I couldn't come up with a creative introduction or anything of that nature, so this is going to be the kind of caliber you're going to be subjected to. So if you don't like interludes, well, I don't know why you're watching this to begin with, but if this sort of thing doesn't pertain, go ahead and switch out. That's cool. So, with that being said, let's begin. Um, I know this is a subject a lot of people talk about or have some experience with, but for me personally, I've been dealing with this off and on, but it's never hit me as hard as it has now. And that subject is burnout. Um, I know a lot of people think about burnout in the professional sense, and I believe that is the technical term is professional burnout, but there's so many different facets to what burnout is involved. It could be on a professional capacity, it could be in a personal capacity. There's so many different layers to it. For me, it's a mixture of both business and personal. Um, and before I get any further into this, I'm not discounting my team. I'm not discounting my work group. I think I have an amazing team that we gel so perfectly together. It's completely on a different level. And I know my assistant manager understands that completely. But also further, there are a few people I do want to thank before I get started to get the positive out of the way before going into the negative. Um, Ray, Indie Gamer, Raven, Connor, Gray, who else? Motogas, and a few other people that have been just coming out of the woodwork to be supportive. And I really, really do appreciate it. And I probably have said this ad nauseum, but I do want to say thank you one more time. So, for those that aren't really aware of burnout, let me give you the Cliffs Notes version, or for the Gen Zers, the TLDR. Because actually, I also was talking about Connor, or talking to Connor with this, and he really didn't quite know how to understand burnout. I'm misconstruing his words or extrapolating, but this is just entirely a Twitter conversation. So my apologies, Connor, if I misinterpreted your commentary. So this is how I kind of explained it to Connor. It's imagine you're at the beach and you're digging a hole. Obviously, you're close to the water table, so as you start to dig deeper, water starts to fill up. And no matter how deep you dig, water is going to keep building up and up and up. Even as you continue to pull water out or shove it to one side or try and get it out of the way, it's not going to stop the water from building up. That's kind of like, for me, what burnout is. Y'all know me well enough that I'm constantly on the go. I'm constantly doing stuff. I have no rest period for various reasons. I'll get into that in a minute. And I want to say over the past 3 weeks, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know. It has just built up so freaking much. It is just overwhelming. So how do... So here's the situation in a nutshell. Obviously, y'all know my employment situation. We're coming into the holidays. Over the past 2 weeks, give or take, I have worked 7 days in a row. No days off, maybe a couple of half days shoehorned in there. This is week 3 of working 7 days a week. Last week alone, I worked somewhere between 54 and 60 hours of work. This coming week, probably another 45, closer to 50. And honestly, I have no idea when I'm going to get a day off. Because coming up, Black Friday. And it's an hour commute to work. I promptly work my ass off. Hour commute back. Work hours have changed, so I'm doing even more. I get home. And this is kind of where it gets a little bit gray. On my nights that I actually get home before 10 or 11, I record. And it builds up. It stacks up. That's where the water table thing comes into place, because I'm working, I'm recording, I have obligations that I have to do for various things and various people, and even though my body and my mind are saying stop, I can't stop. The psychological term is called the freezing point. To paraphrase how it was told to me, is when you want to relax, you want to stop, you want to take a break, but your mind just starts going and going and going. So you're just frozen in this endless cycle. And when you've been doing it for as long as I have, um, um, it just hits you like a ton of bricks. Like for me, there was no early warning signs, I guess you could say. No early warning, I guess, symptoms per se. It just suddenly, I'm fine cruising at 100 miles an hour, and then bam, the wall hits. I have completely just dropped. Like I have no, how do I put this? Like there's just no will for me to just be creative. Like that creative spark is just crapped out completely. Like the signal fire is gone. And I've tried to do little things to mitigate that. As I've talked about, I have cut back my recording schedule from 3 videos a week to 2 videos a week, not counting my Patreon. I'm still trying to make sure that goes up every weekend. But I just have not had the, I guess, the desire to do anything. Like I come back, I eat, I sleep, I wake up at the crack of dawn, usually on maybe 1 to 3 hours of sleep, and I start the cycle again. This has been going on for several months. And once again, I don't want to discount work as the situation, because this has nothing to do with my team. There are several other factors at work, no pun intended, involving the professional workplace. But I try to take the long view approach and say it's just another week of this, just another 2 weeks of this. I just have to go over this hump. And I've been reflecting on this off and on. And how many times have I said in my interludes, my gaming videos, my movie reviews, my versus the Kill Night videos, so on and so forth, how many times have I said it's just this one more push? Like, it literally has become ad nauseum. And I don't know if that's just a coping mechanism for me, is to say it's just over one more hump. It's just one more yard. It's just one more mile. It's just one more broken bone. It's just one more blood stain. I don't know. But how many more times can I keep telling that to myself? And like I've had people say, you know, you look tired, you look upset. And this is actually kind of funny, is because my colleague, God love him, he knows like when I am hitting that overwhelmed point, because I've developed the 1,000-yard stare. And I have nothing but adoration for the dude, because he has taken so much slack off me. But that's where the next part comes into play with what I call the freezing point. It's not just obligations off the clock, this overwhelming desire to, I can't stop even though I want to, this weird push-pull mechanism. It's because for as long as I can remember, I've done things solo. And I've talked about this in previous interludes, so just to touch upon it. Like, I'm so used to going alone on my own personal issues. I'm used to giving myself out to everybody and not expecting anything back. That's professional and personal, like I said. And once again, I'm not trying to paint myself as a victim or a martyr or anything like that. It's just merely to kind of set the stage to what I'm implying. So, when you've been doing this as long as I have on all fronts, it should creep up on you. It ought to creep up on you. But for me, it doesn't. And while I want to cut back on certain things, once again, that's where that freezing point comes in play, because my mind is in this constant battle of, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this, I have to do this, what of this, what happens if this? Like, I'm literally playing out every single facet, both good and bad, to preempt what I have to do. And it sucks, particularly when you're going like me and throwing the fact, hello, I've got insomnia. And I know that it's I've become kind of this own meme on various discords. I'm looking at you, Raven. Um, but it hurts. It really does hurt, y'all. It sucks because I've been doing YouTube for multiple years, and I've been working as far back as I can remember, and it's never hurt as bad as it has now. Just because there's so many different revelations that have hit me along the way, and I know my videos have suffered, I know relationships have suffered, but for me, when I hit that wall of burnout, I just have to completely shut down. I believe, once again, the psychological term is called dorsal vagal, where it's basically where you're playing dead to try and escape something. And once again, I've talked about this in other videos, so Cliff Notes version again. There's 3 modes of the mind. There's ventral vagal mode of the nervous system. That's when you're at peace, you're calm, you can think straight, you're grounded. There's sympathetic vagal mode, which is the fight or flight mode. And there's dorsal vagal, the play dead. I am constantly torn. Well, not even constantly torn. I'm constantly in sympathetic mode. I'm constantly in fight or flight mode, whether it's personal, whether it's professional, whether it's emotional, whether it's relationship. And then eventually you can only go so far in sympathetic mode before you smack into dorsal mode. And where does ventral come in? For me, I don't know. Like, I honestly don't know when the last time I was in ventral mode. It's been years. Possibly a decade, possibly less, possibly more. But I guess where I'm going with this video is for other people out there, just stop and check yourself. Like, just stop and take a good hard look at yourself and just think, am I approaching that wall? Is water building up to the point that I cannot any longer dig deeper? Where does the wall come into play? And what warning signs can you see before you smack into the wall, before that fire goes out? And I don't know when I'm going to have a chance to recover from this, because once again, I don't know when I'm going to get a day off from work. It's going to probably be at least till the end of the month, possibly the end of the year. I don't know. I'm fortunate enough to have enough of a backlog of videos that it will probably get me through the end of November. But it sucks too, because as I'm recording this, I want to play Horror Globes. I want to finish Horror Globes. I've started it, and I can't wait to see what Ayla Aliva has done. I want to get into Scary Mermaid by Gilded Octopus. I want to get into Pitch Black at Detective's Demise. There's so many other games that I want to get into. I want to start the 2 new series, which you'll see later on, but one of them Connor will definitely appreciate. And another one that I know Barefoot will appreciate. But amidst all these things, I just have had 0 time for myself. And for, once again, those that are the Lloyds out there, I guess I could say, they're like, well, just stop, get some rest, do something, take time for yourself, play a game that you actually want. It's not that easy. Because once again, I'm constantly thinking of stuff that I have to do. And if I don't do these obligations, whether self-made or somebody else has made them, I feel bad. I feel guilty. I feel like I need to compensate for that in some form or fashion. I've had to give up Signal Fire, which I've been doing since the Backstreet Boys have been on tour. That has been such a source of joy. I haven't even worked on my poetry book in weeks because I haven't had time. And when I have had time, I haven't had the motivation because it's, why haven't you done this? Why haven't you done that? And I know there's people out there that can say, well, you can talk to me. You can tell me anything. And this is actually something I talked about with Gray the other day. It was, yeah, people say they're there for you, but when you really do need to offload, you really do need to blow smoke, you really need to get it out of your system just so you can process. It's a lot of either unsolicited advice or it's, well, here's how my life is like this. And it doesn't work for everybody. Some people, they do want to know what other people are going through, but some of us, we just want to get it out so we can think about it. It's like a grill, all right? You open the grill, Actually, that's kind of funny since I'm talking about burnout. You open the grill and a lot of smoke goes out. You can't see through the smoke, you can't do anything about it, and then you see whatever it is you're grilling underneath. It's under that layer of smoke, that haze. And for me, the only way to vent that haze is to just stop. And I know a lot of other people can relate to that, but each person is different about how they deal with it. And maybe I'm rambling, I probably am, but I wanted to get this video out because I want people to be aware of when they're hitting to that breaking point. And I'm not saying breaking point in like the mental or emotional state. Well, I guess I am in some sense, but not in the way of like having an emotional break or having a panic attack or a breakdown or an anxiety attack, even though I'm pretty sure I've had a few anxiety attacks over the past couple of weeks, which probably is not helping my insomnia at all. Take time and find a way to get it out of your system. Like, develop a short plan, not a long plan, because that's what I keep doing. I try and take the long view. Take a short plan to just say, here is how I am going to take care of myself. And once again, before the Lloyds out there be like, well, you created Bogey Knight, if you just didn't do this, this, or this, or this, or this wouldn't happen. Yeah, I get it. I've said this before, once again, ad nauseum. This is a monster of my own making. I have done this to myself, and I accept that. That doesn't mean, though, that I don't think that I want to get out of this relatively unscathed. Because I do. I want to feel normal again. I want to feel rested. I want to feel creative. I want to feel like a human. I want to feel like a friend. I want to feel like a decent fucking human being. But I don't know how I'm going to do that. So, in conclusion of this rambling BS interlude that's probably going to get more Lloyds and dislikes than not, how do you deal with something when you hit that point of exhaustion, when you hit that point of burnout? Or what do you do to prevent burnout? What do you do for self-care? What do you do to mitigate it before it gets worse? And that's not just to share your story. Or if you want to tell a short story about how you hit burnout or you hit a major like pothole or something like that and what you did to fix it. I'd love to know. Share your stories. I've said that in every single video that I've done. Share your comments. Share your thoughts. Because I feel like my biggest thing is there's a strength in numbers. And if we are aware of things, personally, I think this can get better. I know this will get better for me eventually. I just don't know when. And it sucks. So with that being said, I have probably rambled enough. I probably make absolutely no sense. But for those that do take something away from this, be kind to yourself. That's all I got.